The old shop stood alone on Shadow Lane. It was a place of shadows and secrets. The sign above creaked in the wind. Arcane Films Night 18+, it read in faded gold letters. The windows were dusty and dark. They seemed to watch you as you walked by. Rain lashed against the building, thunder rumbled in the distance. Few people dared to venture near Arcane Films. Those who did told strange tales. They whispered of strange films and unsettling experiences, but the rumors only made the shop more enticing. Ethan shivered, pulling his jacket tighter. The storm raged around him. Rain soaked through his clothes. He was on his way home from a friend's house. His usual route was blocked by construction. He found himself taking a shortcut down Shadow Lane. That's when he saw it. The old shop with the flickering neon sign. Arcane Films, 18+. Ethan had heard the whispers. He knew the stories. But curiosity gnawed at him. A bolt of lightning illuminated the sign. Ethan took a hesitant step closer. He felt a strange pull towards the shop. A shiver ran down his spine, but it wasn't from the cold. The bell above the door jangled as Ethan pushed inside. The air felt heavy and still. It smelled of dust and decay. The shelves were crammed with DVDs. Their covers were dark and disturbing. Strange images seemed to writhe in the dim light. Ethan took a tentative step forward. The floorboards creaked beneath his feet. He ran his fingers along the spines of the DVDs. Titles like The Harbinger and Whispers from the Abyss sent shivers down his spine. He felt a presence in the shop, like he was being watched.
Turn back.
A soft whisper seemed to emanate from the shadows. Turn back. It hissed. Ethan pressed on, drawn deeper into the shop. He came to a section labeled Rare Finds 18+. The DVDs here were even stranger. Their covers were worn and faded, some were even blank. Ethan reached out to touch one. Its surface was cold and damp, as if it had been recently touched. His heart pounded in his chest. He pulled his hand back as if burned. He turned to leave, but something caught his eye. A DVD tucked away on the top shelf. It was titled The Veil Unseen. The cover was completely blank. Ethan reached for the DVD. His hand trembled.
Don't, it hissed.
But Ethan couldn't resist. He pulled the DVD from the shelf. It felt strangely warm in his hand, as if it held a life of its own. Ethan hurried to the front of the shop. The cashier, a hunched figure shrouded in shadows, barely looked up as Ethan paid. He shoved the DVD into his pocket. Ethan fled back into the storm. He didn't look back. He just wanted to get home. Back in his apartment, Ethan felt uneasy. He kept replaying the whispers in his mind. He tried to shake off the feeling of dread, but it clung to him like a shroud. The DVD seemed to burn a hole in his pocket. Curiosity warred with fear. Finally, Ethan gave in.
Says, all right, let's see what this is all about.
He put the DVD into his player. The screen flickered to life. Static filled the screen. Then an image began to form. It was a darkened, grainy image. It showed a hooded figure standing in a graveyard. Ethan leaned closer, his pulse quickening. The film was unsettling. It was filled with strange rituals and disturbing imagery. The sound was distorted and eerie. It sent shivers down Ethan's spine. He tried to look away, but he couldn't tear his eyes from the screen. It was as if he was being drawn into the film, consumed by it.
Whispers, what is this?
As the film progressed, things began to happen around Ethan's apartment. Shadows seemed to move on their own. He heard whispers coming from the other room. The temperature dropped, sending chills down his spine. Fear gnawed at the edges of his mind.
No, this can't be real.
But the unsettling presence grew stronger, wrapping Ethan in an inescapable grip of terror.
I can't take this anymore.
Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He reached for the remote to turn off the film, but the remote slipped from his grasp. It clattered to the floor. He bent to pick it up. When he looked back at the screen, the hooded figure was gone. Standing in its place was a horrifying figure. Its eyes seemed to pierce through Ethan's soul. Ethan scrambled back, knocking over the TV stand. The screen went dark, but the figure remained etched in his mind. He stumbled to his feet and ran from the apartment. He didn't stop running until he reached the safety of the street. Ethan avoided Shadow Lane after that night. He couldn't bring himself to go near the place. The image of the figure from the film haunted his dreams. He couldn't escape the feeling that he was being watched, that something from the film had followed him home.
I can't get rid of this thing.
He tried to get rid of the DVD. He threw it in the trash, but it always reappeared on his doorstep. He tried to burn it, but it wouldn't catch fire. He was trapped, haunted by the film and the shop where he bought it. Days turned into weeks. The fear remained. Ethan knew he couldn't go on like this. He had to do something. He decided to return to Arcane Films, to confront the shopkeeper, to demand answers. He stood outside the shop, heart pounding. The storm had passed, but the street was shrouded in an unnatural fog. The shop seemed to loom over him, more menacing than before. He pushed open the door and stepped inside. The bell jangled, breaking the eerie silence. The shop was empty. The shelves were bare. The only sound was the creaking of the building. Ethan called out, his voice echoing in the emptiness, but there was no answer. He was alone. He noticed a single DVD lying on the counter. It was The Veil Unseen. He picked it up, a cold dread gripping his heart.
What is this?
As he reached for the DVD, the room grew cold. The air crackled with energy, and then he heard it, the whisper, closer than ever, right in his ear.
The veil is lifted.
The DVD felt as if it was pulsating in his hand. Ethan's blood ran cold. He was in over his head. He dropped the DVD and ran. He didn't know if he was free or if the haunting had just begun.